YouTube, what's going on? Today I want to look at the Palindrome. Now I know this video is kind of late, but I've been working on a few other things that I've got planned which I think you might like. So in this video we're going to look at how and where you can farm this weapon, what the best Godrolls are for both PvE and PvP, and I'll tell you what I personally think of the weapon. So guys, hit that like, comment what rolls you got if you have one, and sub for good luck. But now let's start. So the Palindrome is a 140 RPM void hand cannon in the energy slot. Now if you didn't know, this actually used to be a kinetic hand cannon back in the Destiny 1 days and people loved this weapon. But that is history, so we're going to take a look at what we got now. But before we do, how might we obtain this weapon first? So you can get hold of this weapon from a drop chance in the Nightfall playlist. The harder the difficulty, the greater the chance. But you should be aware that there are 3 Nightfall weapons that drop on a 3-week rotation. So as of making this video, you can currently farm this weapon until Tuesday the 23rd of February. Then it won't be back for another 3 weeks. If you are going to farm for this weapon or any weapon in the Nightfall playlist for that matter, I'd recommend doing the Legend or Master. I'm not sure what the drop rate is, but to give you an RNG idea, I had 1 Palindrome drop in 6 Master Nightfall runs with all champions defeated and over 100k score. But now that's out of the way, let's move on to the stats and Godrolls. So this hand cannon tends vertical and has a recoil of 98, which is almost perfect. But the range isn't that great in my opinion, so I'm not a big fan of this weapon, and I'd still stick with my 120 hand cannons, for PvP that is. Now the reload speed on the other hand is actually not great either, but you can still work with it. Now we got those base stats out of the way, let's make this weapon a killing machine. So taking a look at our first slot for the barrel, you want hammer forged rifling. That's for PvP, because you want to get that range up there, so that will give you a fighting chance against those 120 hand cannon users at a distance. For PvE though, I would actually still go with hammer forged rifling for that range, but corkscrew rifling is also acceptable. Now in PvP for a second slot, I'd go with ricochet rounds or even high caliber. Both aren't too bad, but for my choice I'd go with high caliber rounds for that annoying flinch against enemies. That should help against those using a 120, but if you think you're going to miss shots because of that reduced stability, then go with ricochet rounds because that one missing shot could make all the difference. But for PvE you could go with a pended mag for more rounds in a mag, as you initially only have 10, but if you get a flared mag well or ricochet rounds, they're not terrible to hold on to. But moving into our first main trait, for PvP, definitely go with quick draw. But outlaw and killing wind aren't bad either if you get them. And for PvE, go with overflow. Now this works perfectly with a pended mag if you have that too. Otherwise another good option is outlaw, but ideally you want to go with overflow. Now in that final slot for PvP, go with rangefinder. This and quick draw really work well together, and that is your Godroll right there. Now if you have all those perks, you're probably going to destroy in PvP, but if you want a PvE roll, go with one for all. Now there's nothing wrong with rampage, you could use that too, but I think having that one for all is a lot better, and that will free up your mod slot too, so you don't have to use a rampage spec mod. As for the masterwork, for both PvE and PvP, I'd go with range, but for PvE, reload speed isn't terrible. It's always nice to have a faster reload and more ammo for the weapon that doesn't have a big magazine size, but overflow and appended mag should help you out with that, so it's not really essential. Overall, I'm personally not a fan of this weapon and I'm probably not going to use it, but it is actually a really good weapon, especially in PvP if you can use it right and have the good rolls. For my roll, I didn't really get a good roll. I ended up with corkscrew, high cal, overflow, which isn't terrible, but then it rolled with relenting, or should I say unrelenting, where rapid kills trigger health regeneration, but I could never seem to get that to work, and to me it just seems like a waste when you could have that damage boost with rampage or one for all. If you are chasing a Godroll, I'd recommend having a think about what might work best for you and what you want to use that Palindrome for. Of course, if you're going for PvE, you want things to boost magazine size or reload speed and increase that damage with those rampage and one for all perks. And for PvP, preferably you want to go for that range, especially because it's a 140 hand cannon. Oh, and I didn't mention this, but I think the hand cannon targeting mod is bugged right now, so if you end up using that, it's probably not going to be of any use until they fix that. But guys, that is all for this quick weapon guide and Godroll breakdown. If you found this one helpful, then leave a rating and subscribe for more, and comment what rolls you got. I'd be interested to hear those roll combos. I will have more weapon Godroll videos out for the new Iron Banner weapons coming, but until then, keep grinding those rolls, and I'll see you in that next one.